Good morning.
Morning.
My name is Wim Zweldens, and I use the he, him as pronouns. I'd like to welcome all of you this morning to the Beacon Unitarian Universalist congregation right here in Summit, located on the land of the Lenni Lenape. I am so happy to see all of you here in person in the congregation, rather than sitting at home in front of your big TV, watching some silly game of guys kicking a ball around, which we won't talk about.
But if you want to know the score, you can come to my office.
Now, if you're joining us virtually on the live stream, welcome as well. I know you might be multitasking, and we won't talk about that either, but please introduce yourself in the chat. Our ministerial intern, Nicole Jacobson, will be there to welcome you and chat with you. Hello, Nicole. Good to see you as well. For those of you here in person, please take a minute to say hi to your neighbor, welcome each other into this congregation. Thank you. After the service, you're all invited to welcome your social conversations. We're going to be outside. We're going to brave the New Jersey cold, but there will be hot cocoa and coffee and companionship to warm you up, as well as some caroling right after the service. I would also like to draw your attention to our latest innovation, which is this card that you might have seen. We call it a reusable program. There is a QR code on here which you can scan to get your order of service on your smartphone or smart device. No, not to text or check the scores. I mean, there's other useful things on here, like how to make a donation. If you forgot our 8 principles, you can remind them. And if you're new here and want to know who's who, it also says who our leadership team is. And if you're new here, feel free to take this card with you home. Please consider joining us if you're new for a tour up front here by the pulpit at the end of this service.
Do we keep this or take it home?
Well, if you're new, you can take it home. If you're not new, you can return it. Return, yes. That's why it's called the reusable program. So. All right, so one other announcement. I'd like to draw your attention to this beautiful piece of art that we put up here recently. And I'd really like to acknowledge our engineering team of Chris Kellogg and Norm Miller for putting it up, but also our local resident artist, Helen Carr, for designing it. If you notice carefully, there's actually all 4 seasons are represented on here. So this is going to be with us for a while. So you have lots of opportunity to admire it. I'd like to point out one little detail that Helen pointed out to me this morning. If you see the half sun all the way on top of the middle piece, then it connects beautifully to our round window on top of it where the real sun shines through it. So now let's gather ourselves. Let's take a moment to bring our full awareness, our full self into this moment, into this time, into this space. Bring your strength, bring your wondering, bring your worries. Bring your hopes, your vision, and even your despair. Light to light. Here we renew, we recharge, and we listen to a call out across the earth to feed the human spirit, to be a beloved community, and to heal the world. Welcome.
Our opening song is number 235, which is Deck the Hall. no better song today. In light of our new art installation, I invite you to stand in body or spirit and join in singing. That's 235, Deck the Hall. Deck the hall with boughs of holly, fa la 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 la. 'Tis the season to be jolly, fa la 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 la. Don we now our gay apparel, fa la 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 la. Troll the ancient Yuletide carol, fa la 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 la. See the blazing Yule before us, fa la 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 la. Strike the harp and join the chorus, fa la 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 la. Follow me in merry measure, fa la 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 la. What I'll tell of Yuletide treasure, fa la 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 la. Fast away the old year passes, fa la 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 la. Hail the new ye lads and lasses, fa la la la. Sing we joyous all together, fa la la. Heedless of the wind and weather, fa la la.
Morning, everyone. My name is Tuli Patel. My pronouns are she, hers. And we begin our worship service with our chalice lighting. We light this chalice, symbol of our Unitarian Universalist faith, as hundreds of other congregations are doing as well. This flame that invites us closer to wonder. The wonder of a fourth light of Advent as our period of waiting enters its final days. A flame that calls the stillness of the sun, seen in the Yule log of solstice, which we will light tonight at our solstice service at 6:95. A flame that recalls the wonder and miracle of Hanukkah lights, the first of which will glow tonight. Flame of wonder, miracle, stillness, beacon of hope, light of beloved community. Come into the circle. Let us worship together.
In this month of wonder, this season of wonder, I am marveling at 30 years of partnership between our congregation and the congregation in Barot, Transylvania, which is located in Romania. And to honor this partnership, all of the relationships that have been formed across it, the wisdom that has been shared, the lives that have been transformed because of our partnership together. Our partners in Transylvania, including the new minister, Reverend Jofi, have sent us this lovely video of which we are going to play an excerpt. You can see the whole video on our website. So without further ado, Barot and Summit from 1992 to 2022 and beyond.
What a wonderful world has God created. How miraculously can people find each other. How beautiful friendships can be formed by feeling kindness, love, and openness. Now, when we rise to God on the wings of the prayer, we feel that physical distance seems to be non-existent because the soul can soar and understand that we are one in the great universe. We are one with you, dear friends of Summit. And we owe unspeakable gratitude to God and to you for this. We are grateful to the people who dreamed this relationship 30 years ago and to those who have strengthened it year after year and made it important for the Unitarian community in two different parts of the world to come together. It is not just a relationship for many of us now, but a friendship. Many beautiful, many memories, many shared achievements, a lot of supports that binds and connects people. Praise and blessing to the divine power that has protected this friendship. Appreciation for the many people who have been able to learn about each other's lives, customs, and cultures, to develop spiritually and intellectually.
My name is Attila. More than 10 years ago, when I joined this partnership, I was a little child. Since then, it has played a crucial role in my life, accompanying me through both difficult and good times, shaping my personality, my knowledge, and giving me lifelong friendships, a family, a community where I belong. I am grateful to the community in Summit for the warm welcome we received during our visit there, with special thanks to my hosts, the Simbalas and the Cruz Perez family, whose care and dedication made my stay unforgettable and who I still consider my US family to this day. The campfire singings, the trips, the precious thought-provoking discussions, the games played together, those are among my most cherished memories. Last but not least, I am thankful to this partnership for supporting me during my studies, for allowing me to progress without any obstacles, for motivating me to stick to my goals, so now I can be a graduating master's student. I will forever keep this community, the shared moments in my heart. I am lucky to be part of it, to have experienced the power of belonging and shared values that binds us together even across oceans. Thank you so much.
We already feel that the times we spent together and we got to know each other's congregation and experienced our cultures and way of life became decisive parts of our lives. In this way, I can compare this relationship to a family, not only because it has been continuing for 30 years, but because of how close we feel to each other. We cannot be more grateful to look back and remember all the times we spent together looking into each other's eyes, may that be from the computer screen or face to face, and as family giving gratitude for the past 30 years and the many years to come. Thank you for the everlasting memories and thank you for being there.
Hopefully, future generations will also bind the beautiful friendship to keep this friendly flame alive. We turn to God and ask Him to strengthen this friendship, to grant us many more blessed meetings when we can gather beautiful memories together. We give us the opportunity to dream a beautiful future together. Amen.
We give thanks for these 30 years of partnership that have led us recently to partner and create a tri-partnership with our Unitarian siblings in Jawai, India. And we will be celebrating this new partnership this March when members of our Beacon congregation and the Barot Church traveled to Jawai, India together to meet for the very first time in person.
Our next hymn is number 352. It's Find a Stillness. And the tune of this is a Unitarian Transylvanian piece of music. Find a stillness, hold a stillness, let the stillness carry me. Find the silence.
Good morning. And happy Hanukkah. My name is Dennis Mannion, and I'm a member of our Beacon chaplain team. Our role as chaplains is to extend the spiritual care of our community. We define spiritual care as intentional compassion through presence and listening. We recognize that everyone needs care at different points in our lives, including ourselves, and we offer ourselves as a resource for deep listening, and in that listening provide a foundation for healing. If you have a question about our chaplain program, you can see me or any of the other members of our ministry team or any other chaplain. All conversations will be held in strict confidence. Another way we extend the spiritual care of our community is by facilitating our weekly ritual of community candlelighting. Today, we light a candle of sorrow for the people in Louisiana and across the South who are struggling to rebuild their lives after some 20 tornadoes touched down in the state and throughout the South over the course of the last day or so. We light a candle of remembrance and honor Tankama Chaco, mother to longtime Beacon members Varki Chaco and mother-in-law to Madura Chaco. Tankama was 99 years old. She passed away on Friday. She was an incredible woman who, among many other things, had a PhD and was aware to the very end of her life. We light a candle of support and love for Rosina Hill Jackson. Rosina, Jason, and their two girls had a kitchen fire last week. The family's unharmed, thank God, but the smoke damage was extensive, and they are not able to live in their home and are living in a hotel, making the holiday season a very challenging time. The Beacon community is coming together in a number of ways to support the family. If you'd like to know how you can help, please see me or Robin or Tuli or any member of the chaplain team after the service. We light a candle of celebration and gratitude for our beautiful planet Earth as it cycles through the solstice this week, reminding us of our living UU tradition of holding sacred the circle of life, which inspires us to live in harmony with the rhythms of nature. For this and for so much more, we invite you now to come forward if you're here in the sanctuary to light a candle or wherever you may be at home.
a song for Hanukkah. Ma'os zur Yeshuati l'chanoel shabeach tikon beit tefilati v'sham todan zabeach le'et achin matbeach mitzaraham nabeach azegmor bashir mizmor Hanukat hamizbeach azegmor bashir mizmor Hanukat hamizbeach.
Thank you, Misa. Thank you, John. I invite you all into a time of quiet and meditation. Get comfortable. You want to be in a position that you can hold for, 3 to 5 minutes. Put your feet on the floor. Your back is straight against the back of the chair. And you're invited to either gently close your eyes or gaze at a spot in front of you. And as you settle in, first notice the external environment. Perhaps you can hear some sounds, feel the air on your open palms or the touch of fabric against your skin. Taking notice of your internal environment, paying attention to whatever might be arising inside our internal weather system, perhaps restlessness, anxiety, grief, joy. Shifting our attention now to the inner workings of our bodies, our physical selves that hold entire universes and galaxies of wonder and miracle. Even though many of us might be suffering or struggling in pain or healing from an injury, our bodies are remarkable and wondrous. We often look up at the heavens in awe, at the stars that we see, and internally too, our systems can be wondrous. Cell and sinew, tissue and bone, marrow, neurons. Our bodies hold our experiences, joy and grief, suffering and healing. They are felt and held in our bodies, processed in our minds and hearts. As we follow the trajectory of the breath in and out through the body, we know that the breath is entering new worlds, changing every second, replenishing, restoring, rejuvenating. The breath, or prana, brings life. When it ceases, our bodies move on to other realms. Spending a few moments each week in giving thanks to the wonder and power of our bodies. You are invited, with your eyes still closed, to lengthen your breath as you bring your awareness back to this space. Take a few deep breaths. and gently open your eyes. Here ends our meditation. I'd like to call forward our youth, Elias Alderman.
Hello. Hi. My name is Elias Alderman, and my pronouns are they, them. I'm 16 and will be turning 17 next week. As of reading this, yes. Soon I'm applying for colleges, and as soon as I know it, I'll be packing up. It's like yesterday, I was just learning how to walk, and now I'm growing up. And yes, it is very scary, but change is a part of life. As of reading this, I am coming to my 1 year of me and my boyfriend. If you had told me a few years ago I would be in such a committed relationship, I would have laughed in your face. Previous relationships have never been good for me, most of them having put in most of the work other than the significant other, and a lot of miscommunication. I stayed with that for a while because I was so used to it. But in OWL, our whole lives, here at Beacon, I learned about healthy relationships, learning about sexuality and myself. Beacon has given me so many great things to carry with me in my life and becoming a young adult. The youth groups, the youth retreats have helped me make so many friends and helped me figure out who I am and who I want to be. Now I am looking at colleges and might become a fine arts major. So I want you guys to take a moment and think about what Beacon has offered you and how it's changed your life, and how Beacon has helped you become who you are today. And as you think about that, we will welcome you now to give morning offerings.
Thank you, Elias. This Christmas carol that we're about to do is Love Came Down at Christmas. And the words are by the poet Christina Rossetti, who also wrote In the Bleak Midwinter. She was born in London almost 200 years ago. And it actually has one of my favorite lines of poetry. Love, all lovely, love divine. Love came down at Christmas. Love, all lovely, love divine. Love was born at Christmas. Star and angels gave the sign. Love came down at Christmas. Love, oh lovely, love divine. Love was born at Christmas. Star and angels gave the sign. Love shall be our token. Love be yours and love be mine. Love to God and all of us. Love for plea and gift and sign. Love shall be our token. Love be yours and love be mine. Love to God and
gift and sign. Love came down at Christmas. Love, oh lovely, love divine. Love was born at Christmas. Star and angels gave the sign. Star and angels gave the sign.
Thank you, Misa. Thank you, John. Are you? Thank you.
I'm ready. I was
Well,
born ready.
It was great. It was great. So earlier this fall, Reverend Robin and I offered a course called This We Believe. There's at least 4 of you in this room who took the course, many more watching online, I hope. And the course was called This We Believe because we wanted to come to a community understanding of Unitarian Universalist values and our theology. And at the end of the course, we asked for feedback, and we got, very good feedback. So when we offer it next time, we'll be able to shape it and hone it. But one of the most intriguing, I'll say, pieces of feedback we got was that the best part of the course was the repartee between Reverend Robin and me, and it reminded the person of the show Car Talk and Click and Clack, the Tappet Brothers. So for today's service,
It's a compliment. It's a compliment.
Well,
We are
took
taking it as a compliment.
We took it as a compliment because we had a lot of fun in the course, including how we started just now.
Yes.
You were late. And what
Or
we did
right
was,
on time.
Or right on time. We put out a Google Doc form that went out in comms inviting people to submit their theological questions. And Misa received the results to the form, and so she's going to ask us some questions, yes? Do we need to give any more background? We're good.
I don't know the questions. Well, I have a little heads up because we had a service before you, but I believe some of them will be different.
I had a heads up because there's no way I'm walking to the pulpit without knowing. She can do that. She went to seminary, I did not.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, let's
The
go.
first question is, what is theology?
Yeah, girl. I'll start us off. So theology breaks down into theo, which is God, and ology, which is the study of, right? That would be the traditional definition. But for us, theology is more a system of valuing, of giving value to something. Robin, you have more to say about theology?
Oh, sure. So I had a dream like this once, actually,
Was it a
except I was in my
nightmare?
pajamas.
Was it a
Yes.
nightmare? It was a
It
nightmare.
was, yeah. I had nothing prepared. My notes were somewhere else, and no. So we tend to be guided by a model of theology being about belief, primarily because of how we've been shaped by Judeo-Christian teaching. But theology is way more expansive, as Dr. Tuli has said, and theology can really be looked at in any area of life. In fact, I would say we get into a little bit of trouble when we think something is devoid of theology or devoid of valuing and separate and apart from it, because that's sometimes where dominant systems, including oppressive systems, can take over the most and put in a really negative theology. I am working on this in a book right now where I call it chattel theology, the particular values that arise from slavery, particularly in the U.S., and in unfettered free market capitalism. That those values in places that we say like, oh, well, government is devoid of theology. That's not, we have separation of church and state. And then you see this kind of chattel theology actually flourish in places where we think that we can take our valuing caps off, if you will.
Great. And I'll add that when you move beyond a Eurocentric model of theology, you move from orthodoxy, which is looking at doctrine, and move towards orthopraxy, which is thinking about practice. So particularly in Eastern religions, it's less about doctrinal truths than it is about how it is lived and how it is practiced. I will also add, Misa, do we have time for this bit? I think we do have time.
I think we've got time.
I think we've got time. Good. So there's a contemporary theologian, Reverend Dr. Rebecca Parker, and Reverend John Burens, who was an intern here in Summit in the 70s, and they together wrote a book called
A House for Hope.
Oh, you get points for that one, don't you? You definitely get points for that one. And what they both say in this
Proving
book
my seminary
is,
degree.
They use the metaphor of a house to map out our theology. So they think about different areas of the house and what each one of them can represent. And now there are some big words coming your way. Do you want to start us off?
Yes, sure. So the book that I'm writing is about ecclesiology, which comes from the word ecclesia and logos. Logos still means study of, and ecclesia or assembly. So ecclesiology looks at how do we assemble, meaning it could be in a congregation. How do we make decisions? What's our process? Who gets to have power? How do they get that power? What are the systems of decision making and the ways in which we change those systems? How are we governed? That's ecclesiology. And what are the values that are in all of that?
And for Rebecca Parker and John Burens, that would be represented by the walls of the community. So they would define what we reflect on, who we are, how we define who we are. There's also the garden, which is outside the house. And in the garden, we ponder eschatology. I'm reading now. The theological aspect of that which considers the end.
The end, right.
The
like
end.
What happens in the end. So you're in the garden and bam, a comet hits. Just seeing if you're still with us, a comet's not going to hit right now.
Well, perhaps.
So eschatology says, where does it all go? Where does it all end? Not necessarily in, the end of all life on earth.
So we've moved from the garden and we've entered the house. And what happens when you enter the house? What do you have to do? Perhaps, yes, take off your shoes, perhaps. Other people? Go through a door. So you're going through a threshold, right? You're moving from one space to the other. And I know in modern day open plan houses, thresholds are a little missing. But there are definitely some thresholds, right? Like when you go to the bathroom, or maybe people have open plan bathrooms.
I don't think that's in their book.
But anyway,
I don't think the role of the bathroom is in the book.
When you cross
I
a
don't remember that.
threshold, you consider what you're bringing with you and what you need to let go of. This is missiology, the same root as the word missive and message. What do you bring with you? What do you need to leave behind? So for instance, this morning, I needed to leave my watching the FIFA finals this morning, although I do know the score.
Did you really leave it behind, Dr. Tuli? Is there any
I brought some
device
of
in
it
the
with
pulpit that you may be glancing
Maybe
at?
there is a device in the pulpit that I'm glancing at. So this is definitely missiology. We also have one of my favorite pieces, which is when we look up at the ceiling. This one has been freshly painted, so you won't find many cobwebs. But when I look up at my ceiling at home, I see a lot of cobwebs. And this is soteriology, when we consider our relationship to the divine.
Salvation. Now, for Unitarian Universalists, salvation isn't about being saved from the fires of hell. We take salvation in the words of the origin of salve, to heal. It's about healing. In fact, it's included in our mission statement. Our purpose is to be a radically inclusive community that feeds the human spirit and heals the world. Way back in the day, there was a Unitarian, William Ellery Channing, who, against all of the teachings of predestination or that humans were somehow inclined to do evil, that's called concupiscence. We don't believe in concupiscence.
Can you spell it?
Oh, CONCUPISCIENCE, I think.
Nice job.
Close,
Well
yes.
done. What did you say it means again?
Oh, you know what? At any rate, I think I added a letter.
It's
So
all right.
concupiscence is like the inclination. It comes from a teaching that humans have original sin. But Unitarians didn't believe that, so don't worry, you're okay. They believe that you could choose, right? You could choose between doing something that's right and doing something that's wrong, and you could learn, and we could learn how to be better, and we didn't need to be fearful about that or fearful of our nature. So William Ellery Channing, against the, you have to be saved from hell and you're saved by your faith in Jesus Christ, taught a salvation by character. This later becomes, among Unitarians and Universalists, a teaching of being saved by community, healed by community. So it's not only that work of one's individual character, but against kind of rugged individualism, Unitarian Universalists today say, well, you need to discern that in the context of a community. So salvation has kind of evolved in how we think about it. Now, the old joke that I like to tell in how you know the difference on how Unitarians and Universalists thought about salvation was that the Universalists believed God was too loving to damn anyone, and the Unitarians believed they were too good to be damned. This congregation has a Unitarian history, in case you were wondering.
I just have a question about the salvation by character business. So that's a little sketch, right? Because what if I do some sketchy things?
Well, the idea was discernment of the mind, they would say then, and discernment of the mind and heart now.
So meditate more. Okay. So my favorite piece of all these ologies...
I'm not saved then, if that's the bar.
My favorite piece of all these ologies, and I'm going to read, are windows from which we gaze outwards and others might look in, are windows to the soul. This is pneumatology, where we consider the spirit among us. This is often where the mystical strands of many traditions show up. The word comes from the Greek word pneuma, which means breath or soul or spirit. In our picture of the house, pneumatology refers to the elements that surround the house, which are wind, fire, water, and air. In Trinitarian Christianity, pneumatology is used by religious thinkers to try to explain the component of the Trinity called the Holy Spirit. In Unitarian Universalist theology, Rebecca Parker says we have a distinctive pneumatology, our own particular perspective on spirit, which is our emphasis on the immediate presence of spirit of life in all of life. The spirit is not something outside that comes to us occasionally as part of God. For us, it is something that exists in all things, moves all things in us and others, weaves us all together, sustains and transforms us. Nothing more about pneumatology, right?
Nope.
Misa, do we have another question?
We have a number of questions, so we're not going to be able to get to all of them because I think we only have 2 minutes left to answer the last question.
This is why you have to take the course, which is 5 weeks long.
Yeah. Well, let's see if we can do it really quickly. And then at the end, Misa, will you tell us who won?
Yes. So the last question will be, what is Beacon's greatest or most difficult faith challenges at this moment?
I missed this question. Did I not have access to the Google Doc? Can you say it again?
Julie didn't have the question.
Oh my!
That I emailed
I'll
to
go
you
first.
last night, Dr.
Well, I clearly didn't get to my email.
What is the Beacon community's greatest or most difficult faith challenges in this moment?
Do you want me to go first?
Okay, you go.
Okay. So I don't think it's a particularly unique challenge. How I would phrase it is really embodying Unitarian Universalism. So I believe in process theology, which is this idea that rather than God being a being that is fixed and unchanging and eternal somewhere, it's actually an energy, a potentiality in all that we do and decide and move. And I think that kind of awareness and really embodied living takes a countercultural reverence and, yes, meditation. I would agree with Dr. Tuli on this. An ability to realize that we don't need to be at the pace of dominant culture. We don't need to be distracted in the ways that it would have us be distracted, and to really take the time to live and to feel in our bodies how our faith is changing, to take time in our bodies to realize what is unfolding truth here and now, how revelation is continuing, how in process theology they would talk about even the divine is evolving in our lives and in our time. So I think that's an ongoing challenge. I know it's something I experience, to really look at things I take for granted and see the water that we're swimming in, see the opportunities for co-liberation and how we can move toward beloved community. And not just have, for example, anti-racism be something in theory or living in a book, but have it something be living in our bodies and our lives in the gathered community.
Yes, I'd say that is the work that we have to do, is to really live into what it means to be a Unitarian Universalist without checking the boxes. Just because you took a course doesn't mean that it's done.
Yeah,
The work
it's
is
the soul
ongoing.
work, right?
Yes,
It's the
it's
soul
the soul
work.
work and it's ongoing. Are we out of time?
We are out of time, but there is so much more time to take the course later on.
There is.
Yes.
But right now, what the time is to let you know that following this service, we're going to do some Christmas caroling right out on the patio. So if you have someone downstairs with Jermaine, I invite you to, when we're done singing here, to go and collect the kids, because part of the tradition of Beacon is that we need to hear them sing the 12 Days of Christmas. So that will be outside with hot chocolate. We'll go right after the service. And for today, I just want to say thank you, Tuli and Robin, for that really fascinating discussion. And I'd say, as always, thank you, John O'Neill. I don't know if you know this, but the music that we start with that looks on the page is not what actually you hear, because he always interprets it in his own way and improvises his way through every single piece. And thank you to our board and greeters and our AV team. Without you, we would just not be here. So I invite you to stand and join in singing hymn 118, which you might not even need your hymnal for, because it's This Little Light of Mine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Building up a world, building up a world. I'm gonna let it shine. Building up a world. I'm gonna let it shine. Building up a world. I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine. This little light of mine. This little light of mine. I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine. I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine. I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine.
We also invite you, beloved, right after this service, as you go out into the foyer, Dogwood Farms, which has a Unitarian Universalist connection. Some of the owners are UUs. They are here with us for some last-minute gifts that you can get, or some last-minute items that you might want for some of your meals that you have planned. And Misa, just I didn't quite get who won. I was just wondering if everyone's a winner.
Thank you, Robin. Thank you, Tuli, for this beautiful show, which I like to call Spirit Talk, in the spirit of Click and Clack, the Tappert Brothers. If they were here, they would end it with, "Don't preach like my brother." Anyway, the score is 2-2, not like anybody's asking. Time for our benediction. This we believe.
Love is the enduring force that guides us, holds us, and calls us daily to acts of liberation grounded in anti-racism.
Each human has worth and dignity. We are connected in an interdependent web of existence.
We must move toward beloved community. We believe in democracy, in the discernment of mind and heart, in the teachings of science, and the unfolding experiences of many religions and spiritualities. Truth is not found in one path. This we believe.
Our faith is evolving. We open ourselves to learning, to listening to one another, to seeking justice. This we believe. Our purpose is to be radically inclusive, to feed the human spirit, and to heal the world.
And now, as you take hands with one another, if you're willing, or place hands on shoulders. May the love that grounds our faith, animates our lives, may that love shine against the night sky, calling us to welcome the stranger, to believe in human goodness, and live in accord with the great web of life on this sweet earth. May that love hold you, guide you, and return you back once more to this circle of beloved. Amen.
Amen.